that you are. All right, so on today's program, we are going to be looking at the ObiDatti movement. We're going to be discussing the movement of the ObiDatti and the massive support that the youth have given this movement in Nigeria. My name is P. Catch, and I'm going to be your host on today's program. All right, also in the studio with me is Mr. Ebuka Onyekwelu.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at how the movement for installation of P2B and Datti as president and vice president, respectively, in 2023, how it's affecting, or rather shaping how this movement has become a mega and the most talked about political development in Nigeria, perhaps in the last 22 years. That's since 1999. And we have with us on Zoom Shude Nnamdi, who is a public commentator, a public affairs analyst, and a very one of the Nigerians or young Nigerians that are championing the move for a new Nigeria. Shude, good to have you.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
All right. So now we are still expecting Dr. Obe Banwo, who is the convener of one of the leading organizations that has been at the forefront of galvanizing young Nigerians to take back their country. And we are still expecting him to join us and be part of the show today. All right, so Pikash, I don't know, what you have to say from here.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the massive movement behind Mr. P2B. Recently, we've been seeing rallies upon rallies in so many states. In fact, I can't even keep up with the number now, of rallies that have already started in the country. And we see that it's an organic movement. It's not spurred or sponsored by any particular person.
Okay. But that's part of the question I wanted to ask Shude. So let's maybe hear from him and know if perhaps he was paid.
Yes, exactly. All right, Mr. Shude, we understand that you are a mobilizer for the ObiDatti movement, both online and offline. Please, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, basically, what I is mad for P2B, the crowdfunding for P2B, the mobilization, information public. So the matches are not big. Yeah. People are taking who are doing this, but the people are coming out to support their country, to support their vehicles, their musical instruments, making follow for distributing it across the. So it's not paid. It's people for Nigeria.
Okay, well, your line was fluctuating, but I was able to catch up with what you were trying to say. Basically, that Nigerians are donating, all the things that they can donate to make sure that the movement, keeps to sustain the movement. All right. So now, but let me just ask you this question:
Yes.
What, in your assessment, do you think is the major drive of this movement? Why would someone, put in his or her money, or put in his or her or stake his building, or maybe put in his or her skill without pay into something like politics?
Okay, I think it's all about the fact that have somebody like to be coming up for president. So this is somebody the people there, and they want to be all out for it. So I can say that the passion for a better, so the people are out there to make sure that they sustain them. And you know, from when we what they say, people have no structure, people can't do that party. So that's also a motivation. Who want to know that the people government power comes to the people. You understand? So and it drive.
Well, that's fair enough. But then you said that Nigeria has never had someone like P2B come to contest for the office of the highest office in the land as a presidency. But then we do recall that in 2000. Yes, so we know that in 2019 the person of Professor Kingsley Moalo was also in the race. For presidency against the president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, and a host of others. So, but what happened?
Okay, this is different. Kingsley more someone, but anticipate all, let me say, tested and like people you governor for 8 years, and during that 8 years of how he managed Anambra State, he took an top patrol to number 1. People restored peace in Anambra State. Know how Anambra was in terms of safety. And people will left over 70 billion Anambra over. So they anticipate that what we stand for and say, oh, our man who will support what 2023.
Well, okay. Well, that's again. That's fair. Again, your analysis. All right. So now, let's look at structure, because while you were talking the other time, you mentioned structure, and of course how people were saying that there was no structure, and of which that also became a sort of motivation to for a lot of young people who decided to stake all they have for the movement. All right. So now you do know that for any political party to be able to win a national election, or a very important election of national importance, the political party has to be able to have a fair spread of membership across the country, or across perhaps maybe the state or senatorial zone or House of Reps, as the case may be. So now in this instance, do you really believe that the Labour Party, bearing in mind that it is the political party that contests election, not the individual? Because when you look at the ballot paper, you see that you have just the party logos, which translates into the fact that it is the political party that stands for the election, not the individual, not the candidate. In fact, the party represents, or the individual represents the party. So now, for you, are you convinced beyond doubt that the Labour Party in this instance has a real chance at winning next year's presidential election?
Okay. As of today, 13th of September, I believe Labour Party has the chance. They have what it takes to win 2023 presidential. When Labour Party had that was in May joined Labour Party, people were saying, these Labour Party are don't care cancel. But as you can pick back a party coming back, people are doing for Labour Party. People are the structure. You understand? And not all that. If defeated people are setting up structure, press up market you, and it's like come get to build something that we have never seen before in this. We have seen where a political ago is now one of the strong contenders.
Wow. Well, I concede. Because I don't know what you have to say here. He said that the people are destruction, of which I think I totally agree with him. So I don't know, maybe you have something to say.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to apologize to our viewers for the breaking the voice of Nnamdi Chude, the fluctuations, probably because of network problems. Because we couldn't really make out a lot of the things that he has said. But we are going to continue the conversation, but we believe that as the show progresses, that it will get better. Coming back to the question that you just asked, the people being the structure. Okay, yeah, I heard the last question that you asked Mr. Chude, and you were asking him about if the Labour Party has the adequate structure to win elections. Yes. Okay, so it's been said that the man, Peter Obi, is even larger than the party, Labour Party. Okay, and nobody really paid serious attention to the Labour Party before now. But because of the emergence of Mr. Peter Obi, Labour Party is beginning to gain traction now, and it's even beginning to dare, okay, the major political parties, even the ruling parties in Nigeria. And that is just because of the structure, the people that are the structure. If there were no people supporting Mr. Peter Obi, he's not going to make this much impact. People would not hear about him.
I agree.
You understand? So the people standing behind Peter Obi has given even more credence to his ambition and given more strength to the Labour Party. Even though I believe that with time, we're going to see the Labour Party gain more prominence. But as it stands now, the man Peter Obi is actually larger than the Labour Party. All right? And it's possible that if the people are really the ones that would elect their leader, it is possible for Labour Party to win the elections.
But when we look at it, I don't know, maybe I would like you to to contribute to this. Now, when we look at, if we say, for instance, that the presidential candidate of a political party is larger than the political party, are there no maybe long-term political consequences? Bearing in mind that we're looking at it from a system point of view. When you have a political party that is supposed to have officers that it produced to serve in public offices, those officers are supposed to be responsible to the political party, to the tenets, to the ideals of the political party, to the ideologies of the political party. So when you have a candidate that is seen or that is assumed to be, or real or imagined, bigger than the political party, isn't that a recipe for a kind of a political crisis? Or rather, let me put it this way: isn't that a way of weakening our political parties? What do you think, should they? We can hear you today.
Oh, sorry. So
we still cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so talking about getting, if people didn't bigger than level, not a problem. The analysis will affect level in any way, because coming, but they are fighting with also.
I think we're having a quite difficult time here in Jude. So, but as we were saying, because I listened to the convener of Situation Room. He was making some analysis, and he said clearly, citing the Kenya situation, an opposition, the vice president of the incumbent,
yes,
opposed the president, and he won the election. And he said that situation cannot happen in Nigeria. Why? Because, and of course, we've had that situation in Nigeria, but we knew, or rather we know how it ended, where the former vice president of Nigeria, wanted to run against the consent of the president, of the former president. That's President Obasanjo and Atiku, and Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And we do know how that ended, and up till now, the former vice president is still trying to run to become president of Nigeria. But here in Kenya, Kenyatta, who Ruto wasn't his preferred candidate, but Ruto ran against his consent, and he was still able to win. So the convener of Situation Room said that it is attitudes. So if we are looking at our politics and our political parties, and we are looking at the system, and we want to enhance the system, want to build a system that can be able to function, even if I don't like your face, but the system can throw you up, and when that happens, I don't have any choice. So if we are looking at building something in that line, do we not think that if we concede that perhaps the candidate of a party is bigger than the party, isn't that a threat to our democracy?
Oh, okay. Talking about the Kenya case, I was just watching the inauguration of the new president yesterday. The people obviously supported Ruto. And
Clearly.
yes, they did. And they gave him the votes that he required to win the election. I think that is what matters the most. All right? When the people have the opportunity to actually elect their leaders, that is democracy for you. That is democracy thriving, irrespective of the popularity of the party or not. It is the will of the people that makes democracy democracy, not the party, essentially. Okay, parties, even the major parties that you see today, started somewhere. They didn't just become a big party overnight, okay? They started gradually and started building and building and building. I believe that as we wind down to the election day, you will see more defections. When the campaign starts now, when the campaign sets in, and people start to see that the Labour Party is where the train is moving. People, these politicians, they love to jump train. Defection is in the DNA of every politician. No politician was born in a political party and will remain there for life. Okay? So we're going to see many more defections, and what we see is that the Labour Party begins to get stronger and stronger and stronger. The APC that we know today was a conglomeration of different parties. APC was non-existent before. Okay? But when Buhari came in, the second time he came in, the parties started coming together with the support of Tinubu, Rocha Sokorocha, these other people, CPC, APGA, the ACN, they came together and they formed APC that we know today. This is what is happening with Labour Party today. So with time, Labour Party will gain more prominence and get stronger and be able to go for governorship elections and senatorial elections in all the states and have their candidates contest for elections. Even if Peter Obi doesn't win, the Labour Party will get stronger for this.
Because I wanted to ask a very important question, because what I'm looking at, because when you look at what is happening right now, you would see that, if after this stage, at the end of this stage, what next? So now this question is critical if we are looking beyond 2023. Because we need to start looking at how we can sustain a citizen-driven movement for a better Nigeria.
So it shouldn't be just about P2B becoming president. It should be something that is beyond that, in the sense that even if Peter wins, we should also be able to galvanize and hold him to account, hold the office of the presidency to account. We should be able to, as a people, know how to hold our elected representatives to account. Most times I find it very difficult to understand the way people relate with their representatives. And most times I think it's a question of bounded rationality. That's the limit of their understanding of how the system works. You see a member representing his constituents in maybe House of Assembly of the state, or maybe reps or senate, and most times when he or she interacts with the constituents, they just want to extract just little money from him or her, and that's enough for them. They are not concerned about the hundreds of millions that have been budgeted for different projects, the problems that they have in their local communities that the rep is supposed to champion.
Yes.
Either in the form of a motion or bill, depending at the legislative chambers. And so, but the highest level of engagement, as far as most Nigerians are concerned, it's just about the pecuniary gains, things they will get from the member. Maybe just pay school fees for their kids. Maybe just give them small money to add to their business. We'll just dash them money. So these are things that we need to begin to question, and these are things that we need to begin to consciously change, because if we do not engage at that level, then we won't be able to have much. Because even as the president, I'm not sure any president except maybe he or she has already known the terrain of the different countries, but no president can solve the problems of Nigeria. So it will also require people to know how to engage their reps at their own levels. So these are just part of the whole my contribution to the movement. And also, I don't know, but what do you think about Inec's readiness for this election?
Okay. Before I want to talk about the Inec readiness for the election, I want to say a little bit about what you just mentioned. Okay. Yes, the problem you just highlighted is the Nigerian problem. Everybody just wants immediate gratification. Okay, we don't really look at the bigger picture. Even though that is going to change, and that is changing, we need a reawakening, okay, in the way we see politics and the way we see our politicians. We should expect accountability from these guys, from these politicians. All right, they should be accountable to the citizens, to the electorates. Yes. Okay. So, but we see a slave-master relationship. Yes. When it comes to our political leaders, where they just come and give us the crumbs, and they sit in their high houses, glass houses, and high cars, and all of that. And then they see us as slaves, and we see them as masters. And that shouldn't be so. If you see the way democracy and politics is practiced in Western countries, you see that people they call their reps back. Okay? People resign, reps resign, senators resign, just because of allegations of several things. Okay, look at what happened with the Prime Minister of England, Boris Johnson. He had to resign when he was under pressure for violating the COVID-19 rules. That was it. And they kept pressurizing him, and he had to resign. And now they have a new Prime Minister. So that is what we should practice here in Nigeria. Let us remove that mentality that we have that these guys are our masters. They are not your masters. In the February elections, of course, you are going to go out and vote for them. So they don't automatically become your gods or your masters overnight after voting for them. We should expect accountability. We should keep asking them questions. We should keep writing reviews and, keep pressing, keep pushing. There's a reawakening that is going on now, and everybody is interested in politics. If you go out there in the streets, people are talking politics now. So what else? The other thing that we should start talking about is accountability and, beating up with our political leaders and demanding that they do what they are sent there to do. They do what they have said in their campaigns, the manifesto, follow their manifestos.
Yes.
Okay? Because every election period, they come up with manifestos. They come up with agendas. Let us count them. Let us hold them responsible for every word that they say. And that is the only way that we can get change in Nigeria. All right? So coming back to the Inec question that you asked, there have been rumors of hacks lately, of system hacks and, hackers invading the system, the INEC system. And it's something to worry about. And I think that the INEC should do better to assure Nigerians that they are ready for the general elections. You know that these beavers, talking about this beavers technology, it hasn't been tested on the national scale. It has only been tested on a few states. It started with Anambra State. Yes, So this is a bigger scale now, and it's that there are a lot of risk that could come out of this. INEC needs to be double ready. I can't vouch for INEC. INEC needs to vouch for themselves, okay? But I think they need to put their house, of course. So they need to put their house in order, because what is about to hit them is unprecedented. And we're going to see a very keenly contested elections.
Yes,
never in the history of this country have there been 3 strong candidates running at the same time for one particular office, the office of the president.
Yes.
Never has it been.
Never had a tripod before.
Yes. So this is going to be a very, very, very too big to handle, because now you see with the elections that happened in Osun State, even the one that happened in Anambra State, they sent battalions of policemen to come just for an election in a state. Now we know that the police force cannot be, spread across the country. That's large, in that
National scale.
number, that scale. You understand? Because when you spread them across the country, there are going to be very few of them, and they cannot man everywhere.
Exactly.
So there is bound to be, there is a possibility of violence and things getting out of hand. So INEC needs to be ready for all of these possibilities.
All right. So, I think that's so. INEC need to be ready for every possibility, or maybe if you like eventuality. All right. So on that note, we'll be on a short break, and then when we're back, hopefully Shude will join us back, and even Dr. Banwo. 1 minute, we'll be right back.
Are you planning a trip to Anambra State, Nigeria, and you need a place of comfort, a place to relax and catch some fun? Well, Don Reed's Hotel and Suite Oka is the place to be. Don Reed's Hotel is equipped with luxurious rooms ranging from the standard rooms, the deluxe rooms, the executive rooms, the presidential suites, apartments with special features. The amenities in this room include a smart TV with multiple TV channels, the king-size wardrobe, the uninterrupted power supply, the water heater, free Wi-Fi, and more. They will treat you with a complimentary breakfast from their exquisite cuisine, not leaving out their superior waiting lounge and exciting bar. The outdoor area has a casino and games with stylish swimming pool and exercise arena. The gym, of course, is enabled with sporting gadgets for your physical fitness. The grandeur of Don Reed's environment leaves you in total awe. Visit Don Reed's Hotel and Suites today and experience the comfort away from home.
in the movement that you are championing? How has the response been so far? And what more do you think can be done, okay, in the direction of gathering more support for Mr. Peter Obi?
Okay, thank you for having me back. So coming to the mobilized force for people, in most states, the people are the ones with the capacity of both arms and so far it's smooth and no more challenges so far. I mean, P2B is one of the most generally accepted candidates, and I can take that away from it. So, from our support, it's mainly